Hi, my name is Nitin Vishwas and I'm the co-founder of Moonshine, Asia's first meads. Mead is the world's oldest alcoholic beverage made by fermenting honey with various fruits and spices. Today I was going to talk to you about the culture of resilience and how do you build that in an organization. But as I began putting pen to paper, I realized that what I witnessed during the lockdown was more building resilience through culture. Before I continue, here's a caveat. What we did as an organization was by no means the gold standard. I know of many cases, both in India and around the world, where businesses did even better and, for that matter, grew multifolds during the pandemic. However, if there's a binary way to see the startup world during the period of COVID, where one either struggled or perished, or thrived and lived to fight another day, we managed the latter. However, during this journey of survival, I witnessed things that make me proud of the team I work with and the organization we have built. We started Moonshine in 2018. Both of us had come with 14 plus years in the industry, and very subconsciously, we started incorporating things that we'd seen or heard in our past lives. Uh, we did a bunch of things without really bothering about how it was all coming through. Because let's be honest, like most founders in the early years of the startup, usually you're focusing on product market fit, looking at how do you service customers the right way, and ensuring that the next line of funding really hits you on the right time. But here are a few things that we did at Moonshine. In my past life as a consultant, I'd seen the concept of obligation of dissent and disagree but commit work beautifully. We built that into our business. Anyone in the company could shoot down an idea or disagree with an idea. But once the majority took a call, again, everyone in the team backed it. There was never I told you so moment in the business. We set up a culture of learning where an employee was allowed to pick a subject of their choice as long as it was relevant to the business. And then if they successfully completed it, the business would pay for it. No hang-ups, no lock-ins. Employees were also encouraged to make their own small batches in the production space, come up with their own sort of design, their own surveys, come up with marketing strategies, and conduct events that they thought was perfectly in line with the business's need. And while all remaining ethically true to the cause of making meats great again. The line we often use with new employees is there's nothing that you can break that cannot be fixed. So go ahead, challenge the norms. We did that with starting meets in a world filled with beers and wines. And finally, we also ensured that there was ridiculously crazy levels of transparency in terms of how the business was doing, how the health of the business was. We gave people updates on what their monthly numbers were like, what was the profitability of the business. In fact, some of the details of funding were also shared on an ongoing basis with the guys. What we did again was strictly a function of what we wanted the company to be like. We never realized that is how these things were going to come together and help us during the lockdown. As COVID lockdown started, life as we knew changed. Our growth plans got completely scuttled. Our fundraising plans stalled, and cash reserves in the bank were dangerously low. And to make matters worse, in November or December start, we had just invested a reasonable, tidy sum of money to bump up our capex 5x. Once the lockdown came in, as founders, we kind of got the whole team together and we laid out our situation. Again, extremely transparently, we said we've got 2 months of funds left and we've got to find a way to survive. The team from this point on went into autopilot. They came back up to us with a bunch of ideas that they wanted to implement, and we just were sort of facilitating and at some points in time bystanders to what was being done. For example, in the topic of salary, right, it was the team that came back and said we're going to change the way salaries are going to be given out. There's going to be two parts to it. There'll be those who are earning less than X amount of money, and those people will continue getting that money, mainly because it was sort of, you'll be on the roads if you didn't get that. Whereas the other set of folks who could afford a reasonable pay cut decided to design their own salaries. They chose how much they needed on a monthly basis. These numbers changed every month. And we had cases where people came and said, we are moving back to our homes, so back to our hometowns, and therefore we do not need so much of salary. And there were those who said our parents have lost jobs. So we encourage people to come and tell us these things and change the salary structure on a month-on-month basis. Uh, in case of production, the team realized we built a lot of capacity, so they again took two initiatives. The first initiative was starting R&D work on coming up with this low-priced product that we could put out in the market when things were better. And that's something that just launched in December. And that was going to drive our mass volumes for the plant because we realized that we wouldn't have the cash to expand nationally once the COVID lockdown ended. But the other thing and the more interesting that we did was we also made sanitizers. And very proudly, I can say that Ronin Wines, the holding business, is the only sort of winery in the country that actually made WHO grade sanitizers all through the lockdown and beyond. In fact, as of December 31st, we have shipped out 12,000 liters of sanitizers. 30% of it went to the government for distribution in the rural areas, and we've I think serviced over 100 plus societies and businesses across the country. The last thing that also happened, which we are very proud of, is Coursera, Udemy came to our aid. We had teams who started to upskill in a way so that we could reduce our dependence on agencies. We had folks getting smarter on Excel, doing advanced courses. We had people getting into market research. We had folks getting into digital marketing and social media. And today, very proudly, I can say that we have a team where almost 90% of the functions that used to be outsourced are now being done in-house. All in all, we survived for 9 months. We had a runway of 2. In fact, we could have survived a little more, but thankfully funds came in. Life got a little more sorted. Salaries were normalized. We had a few hiccups along the way. We had positive cases coming up. We had a few near scares. Factory had to be shut down a few times. But all in all, everyone's okay. And business is healthier than it was pre-COVID. To build ownership and a spirit of entrepreneurship, one doesn't need to have free lunches, exotic getaways, and employee stock options alone. One needs to look at the little things. Little things like transparency and empowerment at all levels of the business add perhaps a lot more to building culture of resilience in the organization. Don't get me wrong, the bigger things might be important too. But in my experience, it's the little things that are done consistently, which matters a lot more. As entrepreneurs, we all have a certain degree of resilience already residing in us. It's the nature of the role. But when one is truly able to create a spirit of entrepreneurship in the business, resilience comes as a side dish.